This video, I'm going to be going over how to set your depth chart properly in College Football 26. With a new game coming out, it's really important to make sure that you have your personnel and roster optimized so that you can have the best chance of success in the game. Now, what we're going to do here is we're at the regular play now screen here, and really important, unless you're playing like Dynasty mode or Ultimate Team, if you're just playing like head-to-head regs or Road to College Football Playoff, you need to do this in the main screen. For the other two modes, you can do those within the modes themselves. But for the regs modes, you need to do this at the home page, and I like to do this basically every single time I log on. You can essentially set this depth chart so that it's going to save you time in game. So what you're going to do is you're going to tab over to the right. So we're going to hit R1. We're going to tab over until we get to the create and share tab at the top of the screen. From there, we're going to go into the edit rosters, which is the team rosters. And as you can see, we can now click order our depth chart. Now, for me, I'm going to be setting up Texas because they're my favorite team. But what I always like to recommend whenever you're doing a depth chart, you want to start out with hitting the triangle or the Y button, depending on your console at the bottom, to automatically reorder your depth chart, to kind of hit the refresh button and just make sure that your best players are in at every single position. If you learn nothing else from this video, this is super helpful because it's a one or two clicks and you're able to pretty much set a pretty decent depth chart. So I'm going to hit auto reorder. Are you sure you want to automatically reorder the depth chart? Yes. As you see, it already changed some of our backup quarterbacks and things of that nature. From there, what I like to do is go ahead and just simply think about the personnel of this scheme that I'm going to run. Now, my personal favorite offense in this game is the Oregon State offensive playbook, which kind of specializes in three wide receiver, one tight end, one running back personnel groupings, otherwise known as 11 personnel. So I'm going to optimize my offensive depth chart for that. And if you're looking to learn the entire Oregon State offense, make sure that you check out our school community. And again, it's only $10. It's going to get you access to all of our offensive and defensive ebooks fully up to date throughout the year for you. If you guys want to take your game to the next level, it's the best community in terms of getting you the information that you need to be able to win at the highest level, regardless of your skill level. Okay, so first and foremost, we're going to start out with the quarterback. Arch Manning, stud, great quarterback, exactly what you would want in a first quarterback. Second thing, in terms of running backs, one of the things with this game is they made abilities significantly less impactful in terms of the overall gaming experience. And so I like to prioritize speed here. As you can see here, Quintravion Wisner, he only has 90 speed, but if I come down here to Gibson, he has 93 speed. And the other thing about him is he has 95 acceleration. Typically, a threshold to kind of keep in mind as you're looking at your depth charts is 95 acceleration is going to give them an extreme burst out of the backfield and be able to make some plays. The In terms of the abilities, he's slightly less powerful than Wisner is, but he is better in terms of his ability to just kind of break away, and he does have pretty much the same ability. So I like to put him at the number one running back spot. You can kind of interchange all three of these. They all do something a little bit different. For example, CJ Baxter, as you can see, he has that arm bar ability, one of the best abilities in the game. The stiff arm is really, really good this year. And he is going to be able to be a great like power back in those short yardage situations. I'll probably sub him in at the play call screen. So, anyways, I'm going to put Gibson up here. I'm going to go to fullback on to the next one here. Pretty bad fullback in my opinion. So what I like to do whenever I have a bad fullback, I like to just simply put a power back in there. So I'm going to put Baxter in there. Another little tip for you is if you're running a formation like a split close or something like that, you could put a tight end in this position and actually have the tight end line up in the backfield. That's another option. It's kind of up to you in terms of how you want to customize it. For wide receivers, though, the most important ability on your wide receiver, without a doubt, is the takeoff ability. It is by far the most game breaking ability whenever it activates properly. And the main thing that I look for in my receivers is speed. So I'm going to bump Wingo up to the number one receiver. And then really these next two aren't the greatest. As you can see, they don't have great speed. They don't really have any ability. So I'm going to look through and just simply see if I find anybody with better abilities, better speed that I could potentially put in those positions. As you see, you can put corners in here. I don't really necessarily recommend that, with an exception of someone that is extremely fast, like a Ryan Niblett. But he's not fast enough to me to make a major difference. But the receiver that I like here is this McCutcheon. As you can see, He has 93 speed. I like to have my receivers over 90, at least over 92 speed if possible. Texas, honestly, they have one of the slower receiving cores. So I am going to be putting him in here at that third receiver spot, and then I'll put him actually in the second receiver spot, and then that's going to effectively make DeAndre Moore my slot receiver. Because if you think about it, your slot receiver doesn't have to be extremely fast; he just has to be extremely good. So that's kind of how I like to do it. At my tight end position, I'm going to have this guy, Jack Indries. I think he's cool. I think he's fine. He's got sure hands ability. 90 overall, 83 speed. He's not the best tight end in the world, but he's good enough. The one thing I will say, though, is I am going to put Winston in the backup spot there because he just has significantly more speed than Washington does. So I like to have that. The one thing I want to tell you about offensive linemen in this game in terms of abilities and what you want to look for, one of the most important ones, and not everybody is going to have this. Very, very few linemen actually have it, but I think one of the most important abilities is this guy here, Brandon Baker. As you see, he has one ability. It's called Quick Drop. Quick Drop is the best ability in the game for countering the quick jump ability. So if you have offensive linemen that have the quick drop ability, I really recommend putting those linemen, especially at the tackle positions, because it's going to help counter some of the blitzes that they're going to see in this game. So I'm just going to go to my right tackle spot and make sure Baker is starting, and he certainly is. Awesome. And then really the only other ones that I think is even worth it is actually just in general, like pocket shield or strong grip. Those are fine. But in general, I mainly just make sure that we don't have someone that has just a ton of abilities that we're not putting on the field because they're low overall. So I always like to check just to make sure that all of my quick drops are in the game. And it does look like Texas only has one. So we are good to go. Now, vice versa, on the defensive side of the ball, it's basically the opposite. Now, we do have a new depth chart menu that is going to show us, how to, instead of defensive ends, they're now edge rushers with defensive tackles, Sam, Mike, and Wheel. What I like to do, I always like to start out with the Mike position. And the reason why is because there's one ability that matters, at least right now on defense, and it is quick jump. I am looking for the quick jump players. As you see, I have Trey Moore, who has really good quick jump ability. If I'm going through here, I'm just looking what linebackers have it. Trey Moore has it. Pretty much nobody else has it at the linebacker position. So from there, I'm now primarily going to prioritize speed, and I'm going to go back down to my edge positions because I want my defensive tackle to have the quick jump ability. As you see here, one of the biggest tips I can give you for optimizing your depth chart in college football, none of the blitzes are almost entirely dependent on two things: speed and acceleration. If you have a lot of college teams, they have these really, really big, heavy defensive linemen, but they have like 50 speed. You do not want them in the game. They are going to make your life miserable in terms of getting pressure. You've got to put fast players in the game here. As you can see, we could put Colin Simmons, who has the quick jump ability. We could put Burke, he doesn't have quick jump, but he is fast. So what I like to look for is how many of these players have quick jump? As you can see, Umeo Zalo, however you say his name, he has the quick jump ability. So what I like to do is kind of optimize my defensive personnel for a nickel set, if you will. And so what I'm going to do here is I am going to go ahead and take Ethan Burke, and I'm going to go ahead and put him at the defensive tackle position because he does have a pretty good degree of speed, and he actually played defensive tackle, I believe, for Texas in last year's game. Then I'm going to also look and see, who else could I potentially put here? This guy Jackson, 82 speed, but he is a 70 overall, not super ideal. But Terry has 80 speed, and he's an 80 overall, so I'll just go ahead and slide him into that spot, and then we'll put Jackson as the backup there. So as you can see, I'm just kind of optimizing for, pressure, trying to make sure that we can get as much pressure as possible. Now at the linebacker spots, kind of because of just how the game plays itself, I'm going to have at the right edge position Colin Simmons. At the left edge position, I'm actually going to have that one guy that we were talking about, Umawazelu. He was amazing last year. He's going to be good this year. We're going to bump him up to that edge position because he has that quick jump ability. He has good speed. Exactly what we want there. This guy, Colin Simmons, is an absolute dog. And then we're going to check on these linebackers. So we have a really good Will linebacker in Trey Moore, a really good Mike linebacker in Anthony Hill Jr. And now we're trying to find mainly just a speedster for this position. More than likely, you're actually going to be subbing safeties in, so you're not going to actually use a Sam linebacker in most defenses. So what I like to do is just find, kind of at this point, we're up to who's the fastest player. That's pretty good, and it's honestly this guy Jonah Williams. He's going to get the start over Lafau. Unless you're facing a heavy runner, then you could probably put him in that spot. At the cornerback position, it's pretty much all about speed, really specifically at corner. That's the biggest thing that matters here for me. The safeties, you don't necessarily have to have extremely fast safeties, but you kind of need fast corners, especially playing teams like LSU and some of the matchups you're going to have. So, what I'm going to do, real simple for this team, I'm just going to bump Black to the number 3 spot, and I'm going to bump Niblet to the number 2 spot. So, as you can see here, we have pretty good, pretty decent fast corners. And then at the safety positions, really what you're looking for at the safety is abilities. That's where you want to have all of your abilities. You want to have your best possible players, in my opinion, at the safety abilities. Now, if they do not have, as you see right here, if they don't have great abilities, then what I like to do is sub in faster players, right? Very simple. So I'll put a corner there. For example, this guy, Gulblue, he has the jammer ability. He might be a better slot corner, but I'm looking kind of back at my corners. I got Cade Phillips, 92 speed that I could put there, but I also have this guy, Xavier Fasami. I'm going to put him in there with that 95 speed, and I'm just going to kind of check. You always want to check through your depth chart to see if you have any what we call hidden gems. For example, this guy, Jordan Johnson, 91 speed. We can put him in the backup spot there, and that's pretty decent. With this guy, Taff, you kind of have to play him, even though he's slower. He has so many abilities, you kind of have to put him on the field, and so we are going to do that. From there, your kicker, your punter, they should be automatically reordered. Long snapper is good to go. And then the biggest thing here is the kick returner. So what I like to do with kick returners, really simple, is I'm going to put Ryan Wingo back there because he has the most amount of abilities and he has the fastest speed. You're looking for a combination of speed and abilities when you're looking at your kick returner position. For example, remember that running back that we had that we ended up putting because he had 93 speed. I'm going to look for him here and see if we can kind of find where he's at. I don't know if I must have already passed him, but he had 93 speed and he also had pretty decent abilities. I'm trying to remember what his name was. Was it Clark? It wasn't Clark. No, it was a different one. He must already be up here. This guy Gibson. All right, so he's already in there perfectly. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Ryan Wingo, and then we're going to have Gibson as the backup. Kickoff starter is really, they're going to automatically have that for you. Third down running back, kind of important. If you want, what some playbooks do is they actually put the third down running back in a shotgun set. So we just want to make sure that our running back that we want is going to be in there. So we're going to put Gibson in at that position. This receiver, this is the slot receiver for this team. As you see, they actually have a running back put in that spot. Remember, we were talking about that, and we said that we wanted to go ahead, or actually, I don't know what is this position? This is something new. I'm going to just leave this then because I don't know exactly what that is. For power back, remember we said we wanted Baxter. They already have that set for us. And then for the slot receiver, we're just going to go back up to the receiving core and just check kind of how we had that in the depth chart. And we're just going to make sure that that is good for the slot. So as you see, we had DeAndre Moore there. We come back down to the slot receiver position. And as you can see, they already put our best receiver in the slot, DeAndre Moore. So perfect. Also, real quick, if you are on a 4 wide receiver set, that fourth receiver is going to be, whoops, I accidentally backed out. Your fourth receiver is going to be that secondary slot receiver. So what I like to do there is just make sure that I have, whoever I want there, I want to make sure I have him subbed in. For the rush left in, really, we just want that to mirror what we had going on. This is going to set you up for a nickel or dime defense. So when you're setting up for a nickel or dime defense, you actually will take out one of your linebackers or maybe even 2 of them. So we can now optimize the pass rush even more. So we're gonna have Colin Simmons at the left end position. We're gonna have Trey Moore at the right end position, and then at the defensive tackle spot, we're now able to put our other quick jump guy, this Umawazelu. We could put him at the rush defensive tackle, and we can still have Ethan Burke on the field if we're in a big nickel type of defense. So we have a pretty good personnel grouping there. For the nose tackle, if you're in a 3 down lineman set, as you see, another little kind of important little feature here, you want to make sure if we ever need a nose tackle, you see they only allow you to have defensive tackles here. So you just want to make sure that your fastest guy is subbed into that position. Unless you're trying to stop the run, then you could put the big guy in there. But I like to have the speed guy. I think that's super important. And then sub linebacker. So the cool part about sub linebacker is you can really optimize in your nickel sets. So what we're able to do is we're able to put kind of that gem of a player, Johnson, Russell, or Fasami, whoever you want to use her. I would put one of them in that position. So I'm going to put him there. So now we have two 92, 91 speed sub linebackers. And lastly, the slot corner position, as you can see, they kind of put your best players in here. I really like this guy, Jalen Gulbo, or however you say his name, because he has the jammer ability. He's going to get a good press on people. But generally speaking, you could also just put fast corners in there. So that is how to set your depth chart in College Football 25. All you need to do is simply back out. It's going to automatically save that for you. I want to thank you for watching the video. And if you're looking to take your game to the next level in college football, make sure that you join our school community. That link to sign up for that is going to be in the description down below.